Episode 56. So, if you'd like to gather closer, take a few wood lice and a bowtruckle. I have enough here for one between three. You can study them more closely. I want a sketch from each of you with all body parts labeled by the end of the lesson. The class surged forward around the trestle table. Harry deliberately circled around the back so that he ended up right next to Professor Grubbly Plank. "Where's Hagrid?" he asked her, while everyone else was choosing bowtruckles. "Never you mind," said Professor Grubbly Plank, repressively, which had been her attitude last time Hagrid had failed to turn up for a class too. Smirking all over his pointed face, Draco Malfoy leaned across Harry and seized the largest bowtruckle. "Maybe," said Malfoy in an undertone, so that only Harry could hear him. "Maybe that stupid Greatos got himself badly injured." "Maybe you will if you don't shut up," said Harry out of the side of his mouth. "Maybe he's been messing with stuff that's too big for him, if you get my drift." Malfoy walked away, smirking over his shoulder at Harry, who suddenly felt sick. Did Malfoy know something? His father was a Death Eater, after all. What if he had information about Hagrid's fate that had not yet reached the Order's ears? He hurried back around the table to Ron and Hermione, who were squatting on the grass some distance away and attempting to persuade a bowtruckle to remain still long enough to draw it. Harry pulled out parchment and quill, crouched down beside the others, and related in a whisper what Malfoy had just said. "Dumbledore would know if something had happened to Hagrid," said Hermione at once. "It's just playing into Malfoy's hands to look worried. It tells him we don't know exactly what's going on. We've got to ignore him, Harry. Here, hold the bowtruckle for a moment, just so I can draw its face." "Yes," came Malfoy's clear drawl from the group nearest them. "Father was talking to the minister just a couple of days ago, you know, and it sounds as though the minister is really determined to crack down on substandard teaching in this place. So even if that overgrown moron does show up again, he'll probably be sent packing straight away." "Ouch!" Harry had gripped the bowtruckle so hard that it had almost snapped. It had just taken a great retaliatory swipe at his hand with its sharp fingers, leaving two long, deep cuts there. Harry dropped it. Crabbe and Goyle, who had already been guffawing at the idea of Hagrid being sacked, laughed still harder as the bowtruckle set off at full tilt toward the forest. A little moving stick man soon swallowed up by the tree roots. When the bell echoed distantly over the grounds, Harry rolled up his blood-stained bowtruckle picture and marched off to herbology, with his hand wrapped in a handkerchief of Hermione's, and Malfoy's derisive laughter still ringing in his ears. "If he calls Hagrid a moron one more time," snarled Harry. "Harry, don't go picking a row with Malfoy. Don't forget, he's a prefect now. He can make life difficult for you." "Wow, I wonder what it'd be like to have a difficult life," said Harry sarcastically. Ron laughed, but Hermione frowned. Together they traipsed across the vegetable patch. The sky still appeared unable to make up its mind whether it wanted to rain or not. "I just wish Hagrid would hurry up and get back, that's all," said Harry in a low voice as they reached the greenhouses. "And don't say that Grubbly Plank woman's a better teacher," he added threateningly. "I wasn't going to," said Hermione calmly. "Because she'll never be as good as Hagrid," said Harry firmly, fully aware that he had just experienced an exemplary Care of Magical Creatures lesson and was thoroughly annoyed about it. The door of the nearest greenhouse opened, and some fourth years spilled out of it, including Ginny. "Hi," she said brightly as she passed. A few seconds later, Luna Lovegood emerged, trailing behind the rest of the class. a smudge of earth on her nose, and her hair tied in a knot on the top of her head. When she saw Harry, her prominent eyes seemed to bulge excitedly, and she made a beeline straight for him. Many of his classmates turned curiously to watch. Luna took a great breath and then said, without so much as a preliminary hello, "I believe he who must not be named is back, and I believe you fought him and escaped from him." Right," said Harry awkwardly. Luna was wearing what looked like a pair of orange radishes for earrings, a fact that Parvati and Lavender seemed to have noticed as they were both giggling and pointing at her earlobes. "You can laugh," Luna said, her voice rising, apparently under the impression that Parvati and Lavender were laughing at what she had said rather than what she was wearing. "But people used to believe there were no such things as the blibbering humdinger or the crumple-horn snorkack."
"Well, they were right, weren't they?" said Hermione impatiently. "There weren't any such things as the blibbering humdinger or the crumple-horn snorkack."
Luna gave her a withering look and flounced away, radishes swinging madly. Parvati and Lavender were not the only ones hooting with laughter now. "Do you mind not offending the only people who believe me?" Harry asked Hermione as they made their way into class.
"Oh, for heaven's sake, Harry, you can do better than her," said Hermione. "Ginny's told me all about her. Apparently, she'll only believe in things as long as there's no proof at all. Well, I wouldn't expect anything else from someone whose father runs the Quibbler."
Harry thought of the sinister winged horses he had seen on the night he had arrived, and how Luna had said she could see them too. His spirits sank slightly. Had she been lying? But before he could devote much more thought to the matter, Ernie Macmillan had stepped up to him. "I want you to know, Potter," he said in a loud, carrying voice, "that it's not only weirdos who support you. I personally believe you 100%. My family have always stood firm behind Dumbledore, and so do I." Thanks very much, Ernie," said Harry, taken aback but pleased. Ernie might be pompous on occasions like these, but Harry was in a mood to deeply appreciate a vote of confidence from someone who was not wearing radishes in their ears. Ernie's words had certainly wiped the smile from Lavender Brown's face, and as he turned to talk to Ron and Hermione, Harry caught Seamus's expression, which looked both confused and defiant. To nobody's surprise, Professor Sprout started their lesson by lecturing them about the importance of owls. Harry wished all the teachers would stop doing this. He was starting to get anxious, with a twisted feeling in his stomach every time he remembered how much homework he had to do. A feeling that worsened dramatically when Professor Sprout gave them yet another essay at the end of class. Tired and smelling strongly of dragon dung, Professor Sprout's preferred brand of fertilizer, the Gryffindors trooped back up to the castle an hour and a half later, none of them talking very much. It had been another long day. As Harry was starving, and he had his first detention with Umbridge at 5 o'clock, he headed straight for dinner without dropping off his bag in Gryffindor Tower, so that he could bolt something down before facing whatever she had in store for him. He had barely reached the entrance of the Great Hall, however, when a loud and angry voice said, "Oi, Potter!" "What now?" he muttered wearily, turning to face Angelina Johnson, who looked as though she was in a towering temper. "I'll tell you what now," she said, marching straight up to him and poking him hard in the chest with her finger. "How come you've landed yourself in detention for 5 o'clock on Friday?" "What?" said Harry. "Why, oh, yeah, keeper tryouts." "Now he remembers," snarled Angelina. "Didn't I tell you I wanted to do a tryout with the whole team and find someone who fitted in with everyone? Didn't I tell you I'd booked the Quidditch pitch specially? And now you've decided you're not going to be there."